there's a chance to see the entire Star Wars trilogy. It's been condensed into a 1-hour show and is performed by just one man. His name is Charlie Ross, and he is the one-man Star Wars trilogy. This performance is being played at the Corby Cube this weekend and the Royal and Dungate as well. So, hello there, Charlie. Why are you doing this then?
Well, it's because I didn't want to spend my whole life living in a cubicle working somewhere in the sky. Basically, I wanted to be an actor, but I wasn't really good enough to be an actor. So instead, I started doing Star Wars on stage as sort of just a bizarre act. I actually tried that at a comedy club. It was a 25-minute sketch, and I didn't think it would work. I didn't think people would get it, and sometimes people still feel that way. But I did this little sketch, which was just the first film. And it was really a mixed group of people there in the audience, but they all seemed to follow me, what I was doing. So I expanded the show to be an hour long, which was the original Star Wars trilogy. And it's just me on stage, no costumes, no sets, no props, no talent. And, started to tour this thing. And next thing I know, Lucasfilm finds out about it. And I thought, well, I guess I'm dead. I'll be sued or something. And they really liked it. So I became licensed by Lucasfilm, and now, this is about a decade ago that I actually made this show, and I've been touring the show. It's the only job I do. I've been touring it for 10 years now, so I guess that in a nutshell is why I'm doing it.
It sounds like a really interesting journey you've been on. So how do you manage to recreate the whole Star Wars trilogy single-handedly?
Well, it's kind of like mind over matter. It's it requires me to basically sweat my entire face off, trying to be all the characters and try to tell the story. Right? The story is pretty simple. It's almost like a children's tale. It's Luke Skywalker, and then all the people that come into play as he tries to become a Jedi or figure out who he is in the universe. So the story, is quite lean, and I kind of cover the major plot points of the films and tell it in a chronological style. And, if I have to be Chewbacca, I'm just simply going, or if I'm trying to be R2-D2, it's usually just a type thing. It's not me trying to, wear a costume and try to absolutely look like those things. I'm kind of doing this long-form impression of the films. And it's weird. It's like the audience fills in the blanks. They kind of meet you halfway. So, it helps if you've seen Star Wars. If you've never seen Star Wars, I can't imagine why you'd come see my show, but I've had more people come see my show who have never seen Star Wars than I even knew existed on the planet.
So what reaction did you get from people when you first came up with the idea? Were they for it or against it?
Against it, absolutely. I don't think a lot of people didn't think it would work, and I know that, which was fine, because I didn't think it would work either. I guess because there are no costumes, there's no sets, it's sort of like if I had a bunch of lame costumes or lame props, that would, it would kind of make it for kind of a lame performance, whereas I'm not using anything, so it's kind of like this, what can one person actually do with just their own body and their voice and, your own faculties. And it's bizarre because, as I say, people meet you halfway. They fill in the blanks. And I guess because, I genuinely loved the films when I was growing up. There's sort of that 8-year-old's exuberance that's still on stage. It's like me trying to, play Star Wars, except that, I'm in the body of a 37-year-old man.
And what are your most favorite characters that you like to play then?
Oh, man. That's kind of hard to ask or sort of say. Bizarrely enough, I really liked Admiral Akbar. I don't know why. Also the Emperor, because he's just such a horribly rotten person.
Yeah.
That he's sort of, the extreme.
I imagine Jar Jar Binks is quite an interesting one to play.
Something, he doesn't even make it into my show, because
Oh,
I do
really?
the original trilogy, right? And I thought, instead of going on stage and doing something like, say, the new films where, where I talked about how much I hate Jar Jar Binks, that really wouldn't work, because, no one really wants to come watch a show where you say, isn't Star Wars rubbish? Instead, it's all the things I love about Star Wars. And that's sort of what comes out in the performance, that you get to sort of celebrate your own love of the films.
And have you ever met any of the stars from the films? And if so, what did they think to your shows?
Well, weirdly enough, I have actually met Harrison Ford, but Interestingly enough, it was I was going to be his stand-in on a film called K-19.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I got the job as the stand-in, but I actually gave up the job because I went away to work on some some radio plays and to try out doing this one-man Star Wars. So he never even really found out that that's what I'd do. The other stars, if you can call them stars, the people that were in the films, God, I think they think I'm a little bit insane, but then they might, I don't know, they might be a little bit insane themselves of just all things Star Wars, you know, films that were done over 30 years ago that people still want to know anecdotes about. So, I don't know, I guess, you know, George Lucas, for instance, I mean, he loves the show enough that I'm licensed to, you know, to keep doing it. So I think if I've sort of satisfied his whim, then, you know, I'll be okay with it.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And finally, have you got any more plans with anything else like this?
Yes, I do a one-man Lord of the Rings. And,
oh, really?
Yes, and I'm also licensed by the powers that be in Middle-earth. And, yeah, I will hopefully be bringing Lord of the Rings back to the UK very soon.
And is there any type of website or Twitter account that you've got set up for that?
I do, yeah. They can check me out on Twitter. I'm just Charlie S. Ross on there. Or rather say Charlie _ Ross. Also on onemanstarwars.com and onemanlotr.com.
So if you'd like to find out more or see a show, then Charlie's on at Corby Cube tonight at 7:30 and on at the Royal and Derngate at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Tickets for the core are available from the ticket office on 01536 470 470, and for the show at Derngate it's on 01604 624 811. You can also find out more online at thecoreby.com or theroyalandderngate.com.